Hey folks, Devin Hillsdon-Smith, your host of Site Selectors Are People Too. Hope you've been well. Starting this one off a little bit differently before we get to the intro music, to let you know that this was a pretty unique episode. First one I've ever done, 2-part series. I got to do this with my friends at the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership, and this one that you're listening to is actually part 2 of the series. If you want to hear part 1, where they flip the script and put me in the hot seat, I'm going to go ahead and link that in the episode description so you can check it out. It was an absolute riot. The guys at Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership, Jonathan and Jackson, had me absolutely rolling. And then we continue into part 2, where I put Jonathan in the hot seat to talk about marketing and communications at a regional level. So, hope you enjoy, and be right back after the intro music. Cheers. Welcome back to Site Selectors Are People Too, the show that brings a personal touch to the world of site selection and economic development. I'm your host, Devin Hillsdon-Smith, and today is going to be another installment of Stories from the Road. We're joined by Jonathan Sackett, community marketing professional making a significant impact in his community at the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership. Sackett, how are you, man?
Good.
Good.
I feel like we're friends now. This is part 2.
This is part 2.
This is part 2. So I feel like we're in good shape here.
And I can just call you Sackett, right?
Everybody calls me
Everybody
Sackett.
calls you Sackett. Okay. John?
Sackett.
No, Sackett it is. All right.
No, I don't care. You can call me whatever you want.
All right, Steve. So,
and for those who don't know, that was a joke from part 1.
which you'd have to go back and watch or listen to pick up on. So
Thank you.
There you go. So you joined Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership back in March of 2022.
Yes.
You were telling me over the break that you thought this was going to be about a 6-month gig and you were going to be on to the next thing.
Yeah, I think Stefan Fergia, our CEO, I think he thought the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but it took off, and what we're doing is working, and I think and plus I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
So,
which, this is a little different for you.
it's very different.
Right, compared to everything else. I mean, I'm gonna give you a rap sheet here.
Sure.
Right. So you
Wait, not the real one, right?
No. That's for later on.
All right.
Depending on how you answer a few other questions. So you're a quintessential ad man,
Yeah.
right? You've worked for some of the largest agencies in the country, the world, right? Some of the most prestigious ones, right? Working on brands such as Coca-Cola, Milk, McDonald's, Geico, Mars, Walmart. I mean, just to name a few. American Express, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
And you said what? Small business?
Small Business Saturdays.
Small Business Saturdays.
Yeah.
I mean, so big brand accounts. How the heck did you go from doing that to
Economic development.
head of marketing and communications for a regional economic development group?
Well,
what is your journey here, man?
Yeah, it's weird. I think so. I was a chief. I was chief content, chief digital, chief whatever. I was in charge of creative of the agencies. So you got Ogilvy, DDB, the Martin Agency, to name a few. So I moved all over the country. I headed up those. So I was the partner in charge of clients like Geico, Walmart, and things that you mentioned. Then I was getting kind of tired and burned out. Contract negotiations. What happens is ad people are a strange breed. They are, and I think what
I can tell.
Yeah, you can tell by looking at the glasses, probably. So what happened was, you start doing all these great things. You win Agency of the Year or whatever, and then the other agencies are trying to recruit you. So it's a constant barrage of agencies, pushing their face up against the window to see what everybody else is doing. So I kept getting more money, more influence, more power, and it was killing me. I live and breathe marketing and advertising. So
you were flying too close to the sun.
Yeah, it was a lot. And finally, with my contract negotiation with Ogilvy, I negotiated that it was supposed to be a 3-year deal. And they said, okay, well, we now want you out at corporate instead of heading up. They wanted me president of Chicago, and of the Ogilvy in Chicago. And then it turned into, hey, come out to my house. I'm the chairman. So I go to the chairman's house the Sunday before I was supposed to start on a Monday, and he said, hey, we want you at corporate. We don't want you in Chicago. It's too small of a market. I'm like, well, Chicago's a small market? Okay. So then at the end of my year, they had to, part of my negotiation was I'd either get a payout, which was sizable,
Sure.
or they would have to, if I couldn't agree to where they would put me. So they were Frankensteining a bunch of agency networks. That's what agencies do. Holding companies will say, we'll put these agencies together now and call it this. Draft and FCB merge, so it's Draft FCB now. Now it's back to FCB. It's a lot of that stuff, and I just got tired of it. So in the meantime, I was partners with Jamal Mashburn, a former NBA player, and he played for the University of Kentucky and Monster Mash, whatever. Really great guy, great businessman. So he and I started doing things. We launched a water product out of Costa Rica called Nicoya. We launched an energy drink, which is still in market today, doing very well, and it's called Uptime Energy. And then eCoach, which is an app that we had built out where professional coaches are helping like high school students and things like that,
Sure.
high school athletes. So I was doing all that stuff, and I was kind of on a break, and I was enjoying it. Well, Stefan Fergie, our CEO, reached out. I had a conversation with him, and I said, I really don't even know what economic development is. And he brought his generals into a video call then. So we all started talking about it. And I said, look, marketing and advertising and branding is a discipline that pertains to anything. So I figured this would be new for me and good for me, but I figured I could help too. So I would learn while I was helping. And so, I came up with the new brand, the Pioneer Starts Here, came up with our podcast show that you were just a guest on. Thank you very much for that.
Cheers.
And making all the eye candy. I always call it creating a graphic language. So Pioneer Starts Here was the movement and the platform that I wanted to make. And having almost complete autonomy over doing it. Like I got an opportunity here because at a big ad agency, I'm overseeing 300 people on the McDonald's account. How much influence do I actually get over it? So that's what I enjoyed about it.
You were too far away from the magic at that
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
Right, and here you're able to rekindle your love for that creative side.
Yeah, actually, you said that very well.
Yeah?
Let's switch seats quick.
Yeah,
because
okay, here.
I think no, but I think that's true. I think it's look, if whether I'm selling Skittles, I'm selling insurance through Geico. I did Progressive too with Flo. The character and all that.
Yeah.
So, we did all that stuff. But the truth of the matter is I am an idea person. I know the discipline. I know the measurement metrics and things like that. But I know what I want to see, hear, and feel from a brand.
So do you, one of the big differences, is that you're serving a community.
Yeah.
Now, right, which Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership covers 11 counties.
Yep.
Right, Fort Wayne would be the largest city out
Yep.
of those 11 counties. And you've danced around this back and forth, right? But let me just ask. So before it was all about branding products, services, right? Yeah, and you said it's all about the image. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. But do you feel like every day that you're doing this job, you're working on behalf of this community?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and it's ironic because I think a lot of the people in the community hated the original idea of Pioneer.
Yeah.
I think they felt like it was old school, or I was going to do covered wagons, or some disheveled-looking guy being a spokesman. The thing that I was searching for, and I felt I had a good grasp of it, was the soul of the 11 counties,
Right.
which is a pioneering spirit.
Is that the product?
Yes, the product is the people. And if the product is the people, I'm going to have a lot of P's in here. You have to have a proper platform. Because if people are the products, you have to get into the video series that we've created. You have to get into the awards show that we've created, the NEI Pioneer Podcast. Because what it does is, one of the things that I had heard coming in here was, hey, we have to be careful because our constituents and our board think that we're being too self-promotional. So NEI, or NERP, as it was,
NERP.
right? A Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership, as it was, we were an entity that they felt was tooting their own horn. And I said, well, listen, you don't, I hope this doesn't come across offensive, but you don't go ask a homeless person for financial advice, right? You don't. And my point is, to get to know a community, you have to hear the stories of the people who did it. And that's what I was after. Pioneer starts here. And it starts with, you saw Kathy from DeBrand, the chocolatier, right, and her video. We edit them down to a 3-minute video where they can tell you, hey, this is what was hard. This is what was motivating. This is where my passion was. And I felt if we could do a powered by NEI approach. So basically the brand is something that is extensible, that gives a stage and a megaphone to the people who did it. So it's not us tooting our own horn. It's powered by NEI.
Do you want that rebrand whenever you're doing a rebrand? Do you want it to be so seamless that folks almost don't remember when it happened?
Well,
or do you want it to be a jarring boom in your face?
I'm a jarring boom kind of guy. I mean, if you've seen my work, so you know it's a little bit out there. But the other thing is, just like the hat I gave you with the PSH on it, I want people to lean in and wonder what that is and ask. You know, why Pioneer starts here? Why Pioneer thrives here, or whatever? Why NEI? You know, you look at it. We don't look like other economic developers. We don't at all. And I'm trying to get away from that and humanize it, because, you know, I know character development and I understand that people have a graphic memory. So if you see it and it stands out, one of the things I did to sell in the brand to the board, Stefan had just gotten back from a seminar, and I took all of the logos of any economic development entities that were there, had them all on the big screen.
Really? And
I said, find our logo on there. And nobody could. And it was like 50 logos on that thing. That, you're not standing out, guys. That's not good.
No.
Yeah.
They're all and you know what I love as well, me coming from the commercial real estate background, right? Every single commercial real estate firm, what's going to be? It's going to be a picture of like 5 or 6 white dudes standing in front of a bridge or a building saying like the best in whatever region.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody looks the same.
Yes.
Right. It's the same as like
two white guys shaking hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Or these days, right, you'll get a little diversity to show like, hey, we're cool. We know what we're talking about. Right?
Yeah.
We're not. Yeah. Instead of, you know, meaning something by it. But you mentioned the key term, which is critical for, you know, why I started this podcast as well. The humanizing.
Yeah.
Right. For you, it's humanizing the community, humanizing the brand. For me, it's humanizing this profession, this industry. And that's part of what I'm doing with you here today. Right. So this talking to a marketing professional is something completely unique for us. I think we've always spoken about traditional economic developers from the incentives and projects RFI perspective, from the site selection perspective, from the wrangling community entities, which I'm sure you do plenty of as well, but, you know, infrastructure partners, utility partners. So let me just ask you this. When you're working for a regional economic development organization, or maybe any other, but you're the head of marketing and brand, right? What does a typical day look like for you?
Oh, man. I don't know.
You must hate a typical day. There is no typical day, right? But
there's no typical day. But I'll tell you, like, Monday is my meeting day.
Yeah.
So, and anybody on my team will tell you that, because they can't even get to me. But what happens is, typically, you got to remember, we just released this brand just over a year ago. And coming in here, and you never sell an idea, always socialize it, right? You know, I got so much guff back in the day with the M&M stuff. Well, wait, why do we have to make them into characters? Why is the green M&M a female? I mean, is that wrong? Is that, you know, and the thing is that I can't explain what goes on in my head to come up with anything. I don't know. I just know that I'm a student of a game, that I watch these things happen. So when it comes down to a typical day, it's really, we're still building. You know, when I told the team here, we're building 2 websites. What? Why would you build 2 websites? We have one. Yeah, and it's 3,000 pages and nobody visits it. Guys, we got to do better. So the focus of anyindiana.com, for example, is you know, for site selectors to see what's available. That's the predominant thing. But Pioneer starts here siteselection.com is a playground. So it's our video series, it's our podcast series, it's our blogs, it's that type of stuff that you're not only are you increasing your index in the search engine by reciprocal linking the two sites, you're actually getting, your audiences are going to be all over the place. We have universities, students, people coming. They don't want to read the Any Indiana content. A site selector does.
Right.
But you got to get, either way, I had to exemplify the soul and show what the people here were like. Because at the end of the day, to your point, if you're working for a jerk or if you're dealing with a bunch of jerks, you're not going to stick around. And I felt that the people could heroize this place. The first television was from here and things like that. People don't know that. I'm out to show that we did it, you can do it too. That's the type of mirroring.
Well
back in my digital days, the number one clicked banner was always a banner with a human face on it. And why is that? Because people want to relate to something. We're very relational beings. That's what people are. And if they can't relate to a Pioneer Starts Here and a video series and an awards program and all this other stuff, I also wanted to get rid of all the paper. We had so many booklets, and I think my predecessors had made cards, the thank you cards and things like that. We had all of this, thousands and thousands of paper that I can't track. It isn't very interesting, and can't ask people to read stuff all the time. They want to watch video.
What's your perspective on print advertising in this industry? Is it helpful or not?
Not so far.
No.
In fact,
agree.
well,
it's annoying to me as a site selector, by the way, as I'm trying to flip through to find my content, and all of your darn ads are taking up pages. I'm trying to get past them all. I'm not paying attention to what the ads are.
No, and I'll tell you something. Okay, so one of the interesting things that we did, me and the team, is Site Select. Is it Site Selection Magazine or Site Selector Magazine?
Site Selection Magazine.
Okay, so I'll get you a copy of it. You might have this already, but what we did was a bunch of our communities in the 11 counties won, top 5 places to live and blah, 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 things like that. So they were taking out a full-page ad, and I said, no, guys, don't do that. I'll buy the opposite page from you. We'll make it a big celebratory thing, and I'll turn the ad upside down.
Yes.
In the magazine.
Yes, I did see this.
So that's what I did.
Okay, and you know what? That's one I actually remember.
Okay. But see, the point is I got to tell you, even working with those guys at the magazine, which they were wonderful, by the way, but they kept wanting to put it in right side up. And I said, I want it upside down on purpose. So we did it. I still have copies here if you need one. But the point of it is, and then it says congratulations and gold and confetti. And when you turn it to the right way, it says, now you're looking at us the right way. That was my point. I'm a creative-minded person. It doesn't always work.
That's good.
But the point of it was, and I got to tell you, when I met with our Lidos, they thought I was nuts. And one of the Lidos said to me, so you're going to make an invisible website next? And I said, if it'll work, yeah.
If it'll work.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Why not?
Why not?
Absolutely.
But I think that's what I'm after, is not just, you can get, people will tell you, oh, I hate that ad campaign, whomever it is, whatever product they're trying to sell. But the truth of the matter is, it's not just that you recall it to hate it. So they say, oh, you're talking about it. No, but people can talk about things negatively and still remember it and never buy your product. Yeah. Our product is our people, because those are the things you're going to deal with day to day, people. And I want to hear the stories of the best, and I want to hear the stories of the people who are starting out.
Yeah, I want to get more into that. I'm going to ask you so we're kind of on the personal side now. We're going to take a break, and then I'm going to ask you a little bit about the regional branding. One more question on the personal insights. So what are you passionate about outside of work? I mean, you're a fascinating person.
Well, I was in the music industry for a while.
You were in the music industry?
In Minneapolis, yeah.
Okay.
So I recorded at Paisley Park, then Flight Time Productions, which was Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. They were from the group The Time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in college. Believe it or not, I won a rap contest because
I believe it.
No one had ever seen a white rapper back then, because I was before Vanilla and I was before Marky Mark, and I got in a fist fight with him, but we'll talk about that some other time. But what happened?
What?
Yeah. He that's one of the
I told you you're fascinating.
No, this is one of the favorite stories around here, and it's so embarrassing. But I still talk to Don Wahlberg. He's a good guy. I still talk to the guys from Color Me Bad. I keep in contact with them. So music has always been a very big part of my life. I released my album. I made some money. I did some touring. I did some rap in a few songs. Like I did one with CeCe Peniston and a song called Finally. Music is a passion of mine. But I got to tell you, I'm like you. I can't turn my brain off.
Right.
You know, you and I were talking about that. I love. It is such a what a power trip to be able to come up with Pioneer Starts Here or Milk Mustache or M&M's personified. It's such a fun thing because I feel like I'm solving a problem in a truly unique, creative way that somebody else may not have been able to do, or at least I hope so. I don't think anybody would have come up with Pioneer Starts Here is just wrong enough that you got to lean into it. And that's what I'm always after, not trying to spoon feed you. You know, a pig in a back seat for Geico going wee, wee, wee all the way home has a zero to do with insurance. And that's the point, is I'm going to get your attention.
Some of the dumbest commercials.
Yeah, I tell you. And, you know, even with the initiatives that we're doing here right now, we started doing movie posters that people of our generation would understand, right? And then we Photoshopped the new business team in there. So we've done Kingpin, the movie poster, if you've ever seen that movie, Kingpin.
Sure, right.
So that's how we're hitting them. And then we did one on the cover of Grease with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, but we put Jackson, one of our sales guys, in there for Danny. And then the songs we changed to be, you know, the song index, we changed those to be things on Northeast Indiana. So instead of Grease, it said Pioneer on the car and stuff like that. So again, it's relatable, but it's executable, but it's fun. And I see the emails these site selectors get. Here's a property. Here's a property. Here's a property. Man, break that up.
And it just goes straight to junk.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure it does. And that's why one of the things that we did just now is at our core website, which is neindiana.com, we put up a slash, so a sub page on there, neindiana.com/site selector, because I know that their inboxes are getting crowded. Tell us if you want it SMS, you can get it. If you want it email, you can get it. If you say only email me on Thursdays and I don't want HTML, or tell me the things. Yeah, so you can select how I communicate with you if you go to that subdirectory page.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
But you know what you're also talking? I asked you, what are you passionate about outside of work, and you went straight back in. You're just a creative dude. That you just love flexing the creative muscle.
I love
right?
it.
Whether it be music, whether it be, I mean, you love your work, I can tell.
I do.
Right?
I'm so juiced about doing this because it's twofold. I'm solving a problem, and I'm coming up with something that people have never seen before, and that's my passion more than anything. Writing music was the same thing. I'm
going to have to find this album.
But I'll get you one.
All right, that works. All right.
Quite simply the best.
That being said, we're going to go to break here, and then when we come back, we're going to get into insights into a regional brand, and we're going to talk about the community focus. So we'll be right back. All right, we're back with Sackett. All right, man. So we've kind of we've danced around this a lot, but I just want to ask the question just straight on the nose, right? How do you define something as nebulous as a region? Right? That is so hard, and you've got so many different silos and fiefdoms, right?
Yeah.
How do you brand something, market something as nebulous?
Yeah, it's because it was easy when I was doing CPG, which is, you know, consumer packaged goods. That I'm selling something tangible to you at the point of purchase, right?
Right.
So I had to worry about people at the last 5 feet. Okay, you see a wall of gum and you're about to check out to get your soda or whatever. You gotta see 5 gum sitting there and buy it. Well, in this case, I just felt like if I could come up with something that could encapsulate the soul of the people here. And I felt that there was this spirit of try is really what I felt. Like these people, you couldn't beat these people down from trying. And so what is that? That's somebody who came up with something and pioneered it. And I just thought that if I could come up with a platform that was extensible enough that it could define what the region is. And the region is the spirit of pioneering. That's what I wanted to encapsulate. That's why we did the video series. That's why we have the awards program annually now. We've only had 2 so far because I've been here 2 years. But
so it's not necessarily about the geography of
but
the region.
But if you look at the logo that we created, I took care. You know where the inspiration of the arrow came from inside the state? There is you are here. I was in a mall. And I didn't know where the stores were, and I was looking at they have that map, and the map said, "You are here." And I thought, okay, that's saying, because I got to tell you, if you're from the Midwest, you might know Northeast Indiana, where it is on a map, but most of the companies coming here, they don't know where Indiana is to start with.
You also need to put, here's Chicago, here's Cincinnati.
Yeah, no. The thing is you can get yourself drowned in your own creativity. So I wanted it to do the 3 things. NEI, nearly everything Indiana, or nearly everything innovative. So you can take that apart and use it for a campaign. Pioneer starts here, thrives here, wins here in a rotator. That's the rule of 3. And the arrow tells you where you are. So just it does it all in one look. And again, it's a platform, so people can say, Pioneer, Kathy from DeBrand, Pioneer Chocolatiers here is what she says in her thing in the video. It's got to be a platform that's extensible, that can encapsulate all that, and it's not easy to do.
No.
Because it took many sleepless nights, and whether you think it's good or not, I have to tell you, thank God, knock on wood or whatever, it's working.
Well, it's not easy to get buy-in, right? When you're trying to change the identity of a region or a community, right? And so, I mean, what did it look like for you trying to collaborate with folks, both internally and externally, with all of the external partners, the internal partners, as you were trying to push through a new campaign?
I didn't.
No,
I didn't.
You were pulling the Steve Jobs. You were creating reality for those around you.
Yeah. I wasn't doing it probably half as well as he did, but I think, there were people who definitely wanted to throw me out the window.
Yep.
And there was other organizations within the organizations that said, well, why didn't you collaborate with us? It's a legitimate, valid question.
Is that why that one guy gave you the finger behind your back walking in?
No, that was personal.
Oh, that was personal.
That was
okay.
personal.
All right,
I think nobody gave me the finger, did they? Oh my God, I didn't see that. No,
I wasn't even out in the hallway with you. I was sitting in here when you came in.
Dude, I'm a creative. Don't you know that I'll cry on this show? No. But I think, the thing is,
Here, give me some chocolate.
there were people that wanted to throw me out the window when
Right.
I said, this is it. And the truth of the matter is, this is the truth. It's very hard to come in and compromise with people that you know this better than they do. They might know economic development. They might know the site selection stuff. And I bow to that. They know that. But people, if you can socialize an idea well enough, people will stay in their lane. The accountants will stay in the accounting. The marketers will stay marketing, and economic developers will stay economic developing. The truth of the matter is, I came in and I felt very strongly that we needed an outside perspective on an inside initiative. So I came in and I said, I got it. This is what we're doing. It took me 6 months. It took me 6 months of listening. So it's not like nobody was involved, but I felt like they were, you can't take Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership and divide it into 3 brands because I don't have the money. And you can't come up with a plaid logo that says business made better because it doesn't say enough. You've got to find ways so that people want to lean in, want to learn more. That's the toughest thing to do. You're not going to give everybody the answer in Pioneer Starts Here. That's not intended to be the answer. It's supposed to be a catalyst that helps you find the answer for you. That's what I was after.
So that's, I'll ask folks, what advice would you give to somebody looking to get into economic development? You're new enough into this and probably still on the fringes enough. I'm not going to ask you that, but for folks that are looking to establish a new regional brand, I mean, I think you've kind of just answered.
Well,
that.
The thing is that if you can't get a good outside perspective, and coming from, the big ad agencies, they're trying to sell you a staffing plan. I know that. I worked there. But the truth is, if you're trying to find that answer, you sometimes need somebody else to tell you. unless somebody comes up to me and tells me that I'm fat, I'm probably not going to try to lose weight. That honesty, that honest outside evaluation, and then the creative solution to that. It's got to come from, somebody outside, your wife or your significant other or whatever. They help you more than when they're honest with you.
Right.
When something hurts your feelings or something brings you down, you come out of it stronger if you're honest with yourself. And I just really looked at these guys. I saw what they were doing. I didn't agree with what they were doing as far as a positioning standpoint, and I thought I could help. So I think some people took it as an ego or things like that. Honestly and truly, I was coming here knowing that I've done the world's biggest brands. And I remember thinking, wow, well, these people were attacking me or saying, why are we doing this? And blah, blah, blah. I thought, man, how come I'm good enough for McDonald's, but I'm not good enough for Northeast in Indiana? And I really felt that way. But I thought, you know what? Until people believe it, they cannot see it.
Had you ever heard of Northeast Indiana before getting the call?
No. I mean, no, but again, I didn't know because I grew up in Wisconsin, and then
Sure.
I've lived all over the place in New York and LA and Chicago. Chicago's still my home base, but I have an apartment here. But the thing is, I knew what Northeast Indiana was on a map, but like in Wisconsin, you don't really refer to it as Southwest or Southeast Wisconsin.
Right.
It's not a thing. It's not a
Right.
term. Here it's a term. So I didn't know. I had never been to Fort Wayne. I'd never been here.
You had never been
Nope.
to Fort Wayne.
Nope.
Did you accept the gig before visiting?
Yes.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. And it was mainly because, I just felt like Stefan and I get along and are kind of like-minded, our CEO. But I felt like he came in and he felt like it was a little bit of a sucker punch because he thought he had a marketing team and he didn't. So now he's like on the hunt to get somebody in here who's going to change it up. And I honestly felt like, man, I can help. I can give you guys a new perspective, and I think it'll resonate and it'll work. And even though I got violent opposition at first, hearing people now referring to us as NEI is awesome. And seeing people saying, yeah, we've got this. I hear people talking on the street and pioneer this and pioneer that. Once you see it and hear it, you can't unsee and hear it. And Stefan came to me the day after that legendary presentation, and he said, it's funny. I was taking a shower this morning, and I dropped some of my wife's products, because she has a lot of products in the shower apparently. And he said, I picked up one of the bottles, and on the back it said that they were pioneering something, and now he can't unsee it. And right there, I said, okay, I gotcha. So, I know it's silly, but it works. If you can ignite that flame and get people to buy into it, and they're using it in their vernacular, man, mission accomplished.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, we're going to take another quick break here. When we come back, I want to talk more about Northeast Indiana, the community itself, give you an opportunity to promote the community.
Sure.
And then one thing that we do at the end of every single one of these Stories from the Road is I'm going to ask you to tell me your best fun fact, or I'm really hoping for it, your best joke.
Okay.
All right. We'll be back. All right, and we're back. So I want to flip over to talking a little bit about the community itself, right, and about the organization. So first of all, I'm always curious what current initiatives economic development organizations are working on when there's just so much to be done every given day, right? I mean, it used to be just that you were in the business of business retention, expansion, and attraction.
Yep.
Now you have to be a broadband upload download speed expert. You have to be an expert on
oil.
You have to be an expert on daycares. You have to be right. So what are some key initiatives that NEI is working on right now?
Well, housing is huge.
Housing
right now. That's, we were one of our communities was just ranked, I correct me if I'm wrong, it was either 5 or 6. We were ranked 5th or 6th in the nation for millennials being able to buy a home. Okay. Gen Z, I'm sorry. And, that's one of the things. Housing has been huge with us just because if it's an ecosystem that you're selling, right? You have to have housing, you have to have good paying jobs, you have to have nightlife, and you have to have some sort of stability, right? And however stability manufactures itself, it doesn't matter. But the thing is housing has been such a huge initiative of ours. We've got a couple of things that I can't talk about that we're working on, and those are like $300-400 million initiatives that we're working on right now.
Oh, come on.
Those are no, I can't. I can only no, I can only tell you that. But again, you'll be the first to know because you and I are friends for life now. But again, I think what happens, what it looks like is it's a little bit of a shell game, because if you don't have the right companies and you don't have the enough employees, well, then where are they going to live? And we've had that problem with housing, just like everybody else in the nation has. So you've been to town here, you see what's going on around here, and it's massive and it's extensive.
Creating an ecosystem is very difficult.
Yes, it is, because you have to, I always say you have to see around corners, because the truth of the matter is, okay, we're known for certain things like med tech, clean tech, things like that. But again, if you don't have the housing, they're not going to relocate the business here. And it could be part of that checklist that you and I talked about in show number 1.
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, that checklist where if you miss something by 1 point, you're out.
That's right.
Right?
And, working so closely with the RDA and the SDC, that's more of Ryan Twiss's job here. But again, I have to be in the know on all that so that I know what is the message that we're trying to convey and what is the order in which you're trying to convey that message, because that's tough.
To your point, the order, right? It's housing developers will not take on the risk of sinking in capital on a new subdivision project or a new multifamily development unless they know that there's new jobs and therefore new population coming to town, or they see significant population growth. But those new jobs, those new employers aren't going to come to town unless they know that the people are there to be hired and that there's housing for them to live in, right? So
yeah,
chicken and the egg, right?
Yeah,
it's difficult.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I mean, how many times you look, you've got more economic development in your blood than I'll ever have. You do. And the thing is that did you ever I'm sure you start to look at the world differently,
yes.
Once you start doing this. And all of a sudden I'll be driving, and then in the middle of nowhere, I see this really beautiful apartment complex. And I'm like, okay, somebody's predicting the future on this sucker, because if you get that housing, that means you can tell that it was an upscale apartment complex. That means they're going to have higher than average paying jobs, which means it's probably not a factory that they're building there. The average person wouldn't even think of that stuff. They just see an apartment building.
Right. They go, what the heck's that doing there?
Exactly. Because
right.
It looks so out of place. But they're predicting the future and they're anticipating result. And I think that I hope I've gotten a lot better at that, because I can't just, like I said earlier, I can't lie and say there's Disneyland in Northeast Indiana. It's not here. You've got to sell what you're trying to become and while still leveraging what you are.
Okay, so what emerging sectors do you see in NEI, Northeast Indiana?
Clean tech, med tech, for sure.
Okay.
Those far and away. Now, here's the other deal, is that I see these other economic development, across the country, everybody's saying clean energy. Everybody's saying it, but everybody might not mean it. You can say that you're inviting that vertical, but if you don't have an infrastructure that can provide for that vertical, you're kind of whistling in the wind. Nobody's going to hear you. So we're doing really well with med tech, clean tech, battery driven. The other thing is we're working with a guy right now who is starting an I think he's calling it off-road electric, because people aren't building forklifts and things like that electric. Mm-hmm. They're not. He is. So again, that was something else. You don't even think of it. The problems that everybody's having in med tech and things like that is, okay, the battery weighs 2,000 pounds for a car or whatever. So your car has to work harder, longer to get. So I see a lot of that innovation from a lot of the entities around the region. So what they're doing is they're not just simply taking an engine out of a car and replacing it with a battery. They're starting with the battery and building the car around it. That's an inherent difference. And it's also a different way of manufacturing. It takes a different mindset to get the employees for that, but it's working.
Where you mentioned in clean tech, where in the clean tech vertical is NEI?
As far as
Like what sort of industries are you talking, right? Where in the upstream, downstream?
Yeah, we're doing. It's kind of all over the place. I think we're doing a really good job with the medical device. There was a woman, Ariana. She won our first Pioneer of the Year award. With her, it was so. I swear to God, man, it'd make you tear up. I'll show you the video when you're not around me, because if I see people cry, I'll start crying.
You'll start crying.
But what she did a company. She's the CEO of a company here called Navigate Maternity. And what happened was, I might be wrong in this, but I think she was on her 4th child in 4 years, or her 3rd child in 3 years. But she's got 4 kids now. That's all I know. But Ariana, what she did was she went into the doctor over COVID. Yeah, during the time of COVID, I should say. She went in, and her husband is a surgeon, by the way, and they were trying to send her home. And she said, no, I'm telling you something is wrong. And they're like, no, 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 no. So what she did was she came up with Navigate Maternity, which is a remote monitoring system for physicians. So if something is going on with her, because she said her uterus had expanded so much, you could see the child's hair through it. So she was in dire straits, and they were going to send her home. So with Navigate Maternity, she said, my goal is so we never lose another mother, child, daughter, anything. We're never going to lose anybody because of lack of access to a doctor. The doctors can see something is going on with you through the remote monitoring system. That's the type of stuff that we're helping. And the case study for that, which was great, She came up with the plan. She won Pioneer of the Year, and then nobody here had picked her up. So she was doing her test launch, her test marketing in Kentucky. I found that out, and I talked to Ryan Twiss here, who's a great guy. He got her hooked up with, it was one of the hospital networks here. I'm not sure which one. It wasn't Parkview, though, I don't think. But he hooked her up with one of the hospitals, and now she's doing it here.
Good.
Yes. And the thing is, you don't want that to leave. And especially because we're magnifying her presence and what she's doing. And when you see her video at pioneerstartshere.com, you'll see what I'm talking about, because I wish I had the outtake, but she looked at me while we were recording it and she goes, I knew you were going to do this to me, because she started crying. But it's an emotional pull for a very happy thing, a very good thing. Why don't we have that? Why isn't that standard? If you want it, why can't you have it?
This is what I love about economic development and community development and site selection is you get to consistently be around people who are truly smarter than you are. Yeah. Right? And you always learn something. You learn something new every day.
Hopefully, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you listening, and are you paying attention enough to uncover, A, what they're doing, and B, how it can be leveraged across other verticals?
Right.
Because a remote monitoring system is just as good for a car.
Like how did nobody think to make this standard practice?
She would have died. And the thing is, and she credits her mother, who was with her at the doctor, and her mother said, listen, my daughter and my grandchild are not going to die today. And she says that on her video. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Yeah. But again, if, innovation isn't just a word. It's got to be in your soul. You have to live that innovation. And if you can find your passion, she found her passion not by design, but by default, because she was going to die. So if you can find your passion and your mission in life by creating and fulfilling a need or solving a problem, then that's a 1-2 punch.
Again, I wish I was that smart.
I think you are.
I think so.
You're incredibly articulate.
I think so. Yeah, well, fair enough. But I mean, you hear about people doing stuff like that, right? And you sit back and go, what am I doing with my life? And then you realize that you're part of that story. Yeah. Right? It just depends on how you want to apply yourself. Yeah. Right? How you want to get into that sausage making.
Absolutely. And, I'm big into causal advertising. Even though I've sold a lot of candy and insurance to children, and or candy to children, insurance to adults, of course. But I also,
not bad if you're selling insurance to children.
Well, I did a thing with I had done a thing in the past with did you ever hear of Team Hoyt? Rick and Dick Hoyt. Dick would pull Rick, his paraplegic son, through the Ironman competition. So I did a 10-minute video with them just because my passion is about that cause stuff. He's talking about his son, and his son can't even feed himself. But his son Rick told Dick, he said, when he can't talk, he talks through the computer. But he said, when we're out there doing the Iron Man, I feel like I'm really doing it. I feel like I'm running, and I feel like I have legs. And his dad said, that's all I want for my son. And the thing is they had this movement called Yes You Can, and I said, you guys are doing it wrong, because I wanted to help them. So I helped produce that video. John Tesh narrated it. It's on YouTube. But the point of it is I saw that beautiful cause that nothing's going to stop me today. And he was telling his story by saying, yes, you can. That's not enough. So if you have passion, patience, persistence, and perseverance, you will pay it forward.
You're all about the P's.
I am about the P's, man. I think that because in school you learn the 5 P's of the marketing mix or whatever. Or the, product, price, promotion, place, and packaging. And I take that to heart, and I find different ways to utilize it.
Now I want you to pontificate upon the economic future of this region, right? You've done a great job at explaining the ethos, I think, if you will, of the region today, and what you have. I think honestly what you've fallen in love with about the people in this region, right? There's another P word.
Yeah.
But where do you see this region going in the next 5 to 10 years economically? And I'm going to dovetail that into kind of one of our final questions here. What do you want businesses outside of the region, considering the region, or site selectors to know about the region?
Okay.
So 2-part question there.
Yeah, I think, from first and foremost, one of the things that I had heard, when I told you I was doing my search online before I came here, and somebody had made a joke sign, and the sign said, "You are now entering Indiana. Turn back your clocks 200 years."
Yeah, I've seen that.
And I saw that, and I thought, that's what made me think that I could do this, that I could help or bring something, because I see the grit and tenacity in the people here. I see it every day, and I see people inventing things to help people, prosthetics. You don't get that everywhere, and you'd think it would be, well, Chicago's probably got that nailed down. They don't. So I looked at it as a passion play. Two more P's for you.
Prosthetics, passion play. Vera Bradley makes purses,
and we persevere together. But I think what I'm
perfect.
Now we're trying to out P each. Wait, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
hey, no. But I think, look, economically, the region is doing great. We're working with the SDC and the RDA and giving out millions. I think we just got approved for the $45 million, which again was $5 million less than last year, but it was the top that they gave out,
right?
Which is understandable. I get it. And I just think, look, economic resiliency is an ecosystem where you have to have the right housing, the right jobs, the right verticals, the right nightlife that are all pistons firing together. You walk down here to the landing, which you were just at, and you can see what we're doing, and it's making a difference in people's lives. That's what we're after. Is that, again, it's the perseverance of it. I'm sorry with all the P's, but as long as we get people locked arm, going in a direction, everybody's rowing in that same direction. That's what I feel here from an economic standpoint. Is that if we don't have the answer, we will help you figure it out. That's what we do. That's tenacity. That's a T. But I think that's what we're after. I think what you've got is a situation where people here joked on themselves, felt like they were second best. There was a little bit of that, aw shucks. I've learned the term Hoosier humility. And even for the video series, I had a heck of a time the first year getting people to tell their stories, because they said they felt like that was being braggart,
too braggadocious,
yes,
right? Too
and
full of yourself, too pompous, too.
Yeah, and I think that now, getting kind of flowing into your second question with the site selectors, what I want them to see is that grit and tenacity and what we're coming up with, because it takes more than money. The old saying of it takes a community to raise a child, it takes a community to build one. And I think that what we've got here is people working together more so than I've ever seen. I remember one of our leados, when I was talking with him, he said, when I meet with these site selectors, if they don't select my region, my county, it's okay, because if they select a neighboring county, that's just as good, because they're going to come visit us. They're going to do the restaurants here, or maybe they'll live here and commute to the job. I think not just in economic development, but in life, if people really understood that trees talk to each other, they've proven that. Did you ever see that study? Mm-hmm. The thing is that how come trees can build an ecosystem, but we're so busy fighting over Trump versus Biden or something? Why can't we just all get together, have a mission, have a goal, accomplish it, and hug it out at the end? Because that's what I see here, and that's what I'm really hoping that the Pioneer Starts Here platform is going to magnify. I always say, surprise people with the truth. That's the truth here, and I'm not from here, so I can say it. I came here to do this job.
Yes,
and I've enjoyed it, and I hope that you can see what we've done. I hope that it resonates and it empowers people to think, yeah, I could do that too. That's the most powerful thing we could ever accomplish, is getting people to go, you know what? They did it, so can I. And if we can help with funding for that, which we can, if we can help build dreams and goals, man, that's what life is supposed to be about. You're supposed to be here as part of something bigger than yourself. And if we can do that in business and in life, then mission accomplished.
Amen, brother.
Yeah,
that was fantastic. Now, that should have been your punch, the exclamation mark at the end of our discussion here. But I have to ask you, are you going to choose best fun fact, or are you going to choose a joke?
I have a joke.
You have a joke? Yes.
Okay, I hope it's not.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So, oh my God. You're going to get write-ins on this one. Okay. So there's this guy walking down the street, right? And it's dusk. So it's starting to get dark, and he's starting to feel a little creeped out. So as he's walking, he sees this old decrepit mansion, and there's a gate, a big wooden gate out front of it, right? So you can't see past the fence. So he's walking, and he can hear this voice, and it keeps saying 13, 13, 13. And he's like, what is that? But, it was so compelling that he just had to check it out. So he gets a little closer, and the voice is getting louder, 13, 13. And he's like, where's that voice? And he realizes, so he puts his ear up to the fence, and he can hear the voice on the other side going, 13, 13, 13. So he sees there's a little hole up in the fence. So he props himself up, and he puts his eye in there to look through the hole, and a finger pokes him in the eye, and then the voice says 14, 14, 14.
Oh, thank God. I thought that was going to go different.
My humblest apologies.
Oh, I'm glad that joke didn't end with a P word. All right.
Well, it did. Poke.
Poke. Okay,
yeah,
poke.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been a fun podcast. I will be canceled after that. Anyways, Jonathan Sackett, man, thank you. This has been entertaining as all get out. Positively entertaining.
Well, thank you so much. Listen, I got to tell you, man, I love what you're doing, targeting the site selectors, getting them on board. I hope I can give them less clutter in their inbox. I hope we can help them. And even if we can't, we're good partners and we're good Midwest people. We will turn you over to the people who can if we can't do it here.
Awesome. Well, this has been another episode of Site Selectors Are People Too, an installation from Stories from the Road. Jonathan Sackett with NEI. I don't even have to say anything else, right? I don't have to define that. NEI, Pioneer Starts Here. But again, this is Devin Hillsdon-Smith with Site Selectors Are People Too, and I hope you have the best day yet. Thank you. Just a heads up, views expressed in this podcast are solely my own and are not attributable to any employers, whether past or present. Thank you.